like to call the St. James Parish School Board meeting to order, special school board meeting to order. Open the meeting, prayer by Sue Byer, Pledge of Allegiance, Marty Poche.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Gracious God, as we come before you today to discuss important matters, we ask for your guidance and wisdom. You are the source of our knowledge and understanding. Therefore, we seek your direction in our decision-making process. Help us to listen attentively to one another with open hearts and minds. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. C, roll call. Chris Kimball, Superintendent.
Mr. Poche,
here.
Ms. Quintella,
Here.
Ms. Washington,
Here.
Mr. Groh,
Here.
Mr. Detillier,
Here.
Ms. Byer,
here.
President Florence.
Here. Number 2, business, finance, and instruction. A, informational presentation regarding a proposed location of a new fire station in Vacherie. Superintendent Kimball and Parish President Pete Dufresne.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, we have asked Parish President Pete Dufresne and his staff to come and just an informational presentation. I've spoken to Parish President Dufresne a couple of times regarding proposed location of a new fire station in Vacherie, and I felt it important that he come before the board at a special board meeting, just so they could provide you information, so you could learn about the location, learn about information regarding what's their proposal in regards to this. I just want to reiterate, there's no votes that's going to be taken today. It's just informational purposes. We'll take it under consideration and then go from there. So, Mr. Dufresne.
Thank you, Mr. Kimball. First of all, thank you to the entire board. I appreciate the special meeting and giving us the opportunity to come here and consider our request. As you all know, Hurricane Ida left us with all significant challenges that we've been faced with and recovering from since then. And with the destruction of a few of our fire departments and properties, we've been challenged with coming up with a new proposed fire station and it being relocated. We currently we're considering locating it on the property that we have that's at the current fire training center. And but if you have noticed already, we have a current Vacherie Senior Center under construction, and we have plans to construct a multi-purpose facility right adjacent to it and put the fire station next to it. But the space is limited, and it was challenging to fit everything on that piece of property. You know, we use that property for training, exercises. We need a lot of outdoor space and things of that nature. And in addition to that, having a new fire station located so far off of the main highway, it would have significantly increased the response times, you know, getting from that back corner out to the highway, and considering football games and things of that nature. The arc is located in between the main highway and there. It would have just been challenging to locate it where we have the property already. So we was admiring the corner piece of property that you guys have in possession right there on Highway 20, right across from the Health Unit Street on Health Unit Drive, and we began some infant stage discussions with Superintendent Kendall about maybe the possibility of locating a fire station there, which we feel would better serve the public. It would be a better location, just all around better to be on the main highway with response times and things of that nature. So that's what our request would be, to come up with some sort of agreement with the school system to be able to acquire that piece of property, that grassy area, which we have a film. We have if you ready to show a little thing, we could let Eric Deroche, who's our head of our emergency operations department. We also have a lot of volunteer firefighters here, so we have the architect that's designing the new facility, so hopefully we have everybody we need here to answer any questions that you may have. so that you can be able to make an accurate and informed decision if we can continue forward. So, Mr. Deroche?
Thank you, Mr. Dufresne. On this first slide, as President Dufresne stated, is that front corner at the intersection of Health Union Street and Highway 20. We got it. This is an overall view where that circle area is located that we are asking, and conversations we had with the superintendent in our first initial, and then bringing it to the board for information, asking any questions, answering any questions that y'all may have. So with that, just the reason what this brought this attention is the fire station on Highway 18, the North Vashon Main Station, which is next door to West Bank Reception Hall, was deemed 50% removed by FEMA, which means the repair cost is more than 50% of the value of the building. So with that, that led us to looking at replacing the station. And when we started looking at that with the fire station and how graphically has changed in the last 40 years when the fire station started or fire department started on the West Bank, this now makes sense as a centralized location for a new main central station on the West Bank. So what's being proposed as we're going through is a central station for the West Bank, is being built and designed to be able to handle paid firemen for the future. Currently, right now, it's 100% volunteer, but we all know in the future we will have to have paid firemen. So the building is also, we'll have bunk rooms and facilities, so that way our volunteer firemen during a hurricane will have a safe haven, if you will, to bunker down, hunker down during a storm to be able to respond. Or if we have outside department after like Hurricane Ida, we had a fire department that came in from Chicago, Illinois, that actually ran calls for roughly 2 weeks on the West Bank because our volunteer firemen weren't available because they had other responsibilities with their main job and everything else. So they were literally inside the fire training center in a big open room on cots and no facilities. We scrounged mattresses up and everything else to be able to accommodate them, but this will alleviate that problem for the future. So, next slide is the actual track. After having conversation with Superintendent Kimball and Mr. Calabro, we moved forward with getting a survey done of what is being asked for the property on that corner. As you see on this, it's taking the driveway that is currently for the parking lot. In conversation, we will utilize, and further down in the next couple of slides, we can show you how it's going to place on this property and what our proposal is. This slide is a front elevation view of what is proposed for the new fire station, what it will look like. It is being designed to similarly match the St. James High School that's currently with its color scheme. So it is going to blend in with the surroundings of the school that's on that property. This slide is just giving you the four-sided view, front, rear, left side, right side of what is being proposed. This slide is just an overall view layout of how it would look on the property. If you notice on the back side of the station, the driveway goes around and goes across the line. With this, we would ask for an easement also to include on school board property just for driveway purposes, because if we were to use the driveway in the lines, it is too tight of a turn to get fire trucks in and out. And then it would remove the parking lot that is access there, but we, the parish and fire department, would put another driveway for that parking lot access a little further down, so that way that parking lot still has access coming out at our cost, not school board cost, if this is all agreed upon. And so with that, we're open to any questions. The fire chief, Devon Jackson, is here, like he said. Also, our district chief of the West Bank, Mike Giat's here, and the architect. So any questions or anything y'all have, we'd be glad to answer.
At this time, I'd open it up to the board members first, because I have a couple of questions, but I'd like to let the board members go through and ask their questions prior.
Just looking at the picture, I mean, you know, you described it good. I'm just a little concerned in the future, something none of us are thinking about, like if you wanted to expand, do you have room to expand in the spot you just showed us?
This was being designed as a main station, so you have bunkhouse for enough to handle the trucks and service rescue trucks that's in that station. So expanding wise, you would go to other stations where you would have manned other stations for geographic diversity. So not everybody, if you do go full-time in say 5, 10, 15 years, not everybody's gonna be at this station. You will have other stations, like we would have to expand the one that's currently on Kingview Street, that's up in Welcome area. We would have to expand the one that's on the River Road, by the West Bank Reception Hall to be able to accommodate. So you would have stations manned geographically throughout the West Bank
This is
and
more
East
of a
Bank.
centralized
This is
hub
just a
for that
centralized
particular
hub.
Yeah, we would still maintain other facilities to house equipment, trucks, or we would have a specialized
Yeah.
tools.
How many can we house here?
This right here, this station is being designed to handle Class A pumper, which is, and also a rescue truck and a chief's vehicle, so it would have enough staffing. The bunk rooms, there would be two people per bunk room, and there are, in this drawing, there are 5 bunk rooms that are being planned. So you could have 10 people.
I'm impressed with the design. to
The
match
design,
our
yeah.
school.
Right, yeah, no way we would want to just put up a metal building and call it done. You know, we definitely
You could have
gonna.
stated that too.
Like the granite fire.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be aesthetically pleasing to the community, to the school, and you know, we trying to build up the community and area around, not build it, not lower the thing. So we're gonna have a really nice senior center. It's under construction right now. The multi-purpose facility that's being planned is also gonna be aesthetically pleasing. The facade and everything's gonna match the hospital's design, what they're currently planning right now too, you know. So it's gonna be, in the future, this is gonna be a really nice community environment, right? A really nice area to move Vacherie forward.
I know most of our I'm sorry, go ahead. I know most of our parish, like, we haven't really grown, but have y'all seen growth in Vacherie, actually?
Well, there's a new subdivision
Because
right now
it
that's
looks like
across
a
from
lot of new
Wagapack.
growth.
There's a lot of new growth right there. There's a lot of space available for new growth if any of the landowners should choose to put some more subdivisions right there. You know, this is kind of getting a little off track a little bit, but it is, but it's not. You know, if you're familiar with Risk Reduction 2.0 and what FEMA's doing with flood insurance rates and requirements and things of that nature, the federal government is literally trying to force our friends from South Terrebonne and Lower Lafourche off the coast to move further inland. You know, the West Bank of St. James Parish is low-hanging fruit, is prime real estate for growth and development. In addition to these projects right here, we are expanding 4-lane and Highway 3127 from the bridge to a mile past 20. You know, we significantly increased the supply of our water distribution system, our natural gas. We put a new pier point right there at the intersection of 3127 and Highway 20. Like I said, the highway infrastructure, these facilities right here. So we doing everything we can do to put the infrastructure in place for Vacherie to grow as fast as it wants to.
I like this, y'all. I like this a lot. But only question I have is that our training center right now, that exists currently exists, we still gonna use it as training?
Well, I can let the chief, you want to answer how you plan on doing training in the future, chief?
Currently, we use LSU and we.
You want to come up?
Look, put him on a hot seat.
No, I just want, that way it's.
It's that way, it's in the mic.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Devon Jackson. So yeah, we still plan on using that facility as training unless some other project comes about that we can dedicate that training center to, but for the most part, that'll still be the official training ground for the West Bank.
That's what I thought, 'cause I mean, we can't expand this.
Right,
Here for no training.
Kind of
Okay.
impossible.
Cool, sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a big training, they actually got a large training room inside this station, so yeah.
Eric, two things. What kind of time frame? I mean, if all goes well, how soon do you anticipate this being able to be built and operated?
Right now, we once we know what the school board's doing, we currently have an approved and obligated PW from FEMA. We also have the other monies in budget set aside to start this project.
Just for the record, you can explain what the PW
Yeah,
is?
project worksheet. Yeah, I'm sure they are familiar because they heard a lot of it, but sorry, yeah.
Right.
So project worksheet. So we have an obligated and an approved PW from FEMA. We need to, what's holding us up to move forward right now is whether we will be given the opportunity to move forward with our proposal and we officially come to some type of agreement so we can then let FEMA know this is our location and get all those approvals from FEMA. But once we know for sure, I've already contacted or talked to David Mujo with Mujo Architect, who's doing this. He's going to begin the actual construction documents while we're waiting on FEMA. So that way, once we have that approval letter from FEMA, the goal is to have, okay, everything ready to go out for bid. And then go through the bid process and construction. Construction on this estimated is going to be roughly 11 to 14-month time frame from our conversations. So we just waiting to hear exactly, okay, is this going to be, we can come to terms with the school board as far as with this property or not, so we can then let FEMA know. So here's our location, here's our address, and go through that process. So we plan on doing dual tandem design of construction documents, have everything ready while we're getting the FEMA approval letters to move forward with the project.
So without an exact date, we talking months, not years?
Yeah.
We ready?
Like with FEMA.
Yeah, but we ready. We sitting
ready.
on go.
Yeah, we're set on,
Yeah,
we're set on go.
And then basically, this is the last piece of the puzzle right here for us is because we can't complete any design specifications until we know exactly where we're putting the station. So everything else is set. We ready to start to go. We're just waiting on final approval of location.
Does that include funding for fire trucks and all the equipment and everything needed to operate?
Yes, because we're going, with this, when this station comes into active situation, the fire station, because of the geographic location, we will be able to take the equipment from current Station 20, which is right behind Wagapack, and relocate all that equipment into this one station. So geographically, it works out perfect. All this is happening or capable of being happening because of the consolidation and merger of the fire department 2 years ago. So this is more of efficiencies in the consolidation also.
And so what was also discussed, and look, so the board understands, I know the superintendent has been keeping kind of everybody in the loop in terms of discussions, but the parish has been very patient with us. I wanted to make sure we had our ducks in a row as far as you all getting all the information possible on May the 1st, and then potentially taking some form of action if you all deem that sufficient on May the 13th. We also talked about DOTD requirements. I don't know if we have any update on that for Highway 20, and also a refurbishment of Health Unit Street. For those of us that are familiar with Vacherie, that corner getting to the ARC and getting to the Health Unit, that was concerning to me. So I wanted to make sure that that was part of the overall discussion, and they have agreed to making sure that we refurbish that roadway. Make sure we have enough of an angle so people can turn in and out, and we close up maybe those ditches as well to create some more safety there on the corners.
Yeah, that was just one of my
Yes.
follow-up questions in regards to, we know the congestion that can get right there on 20 and turning. Is that something that we've already reached out to them in regards to that?
We haven't, as far as DOTD is concerned, until we know exact location, we won't know. But the thing is, we're not, the only entrance and exit we're adding is the exit for the fire station. All the existing entrances and exits that are in place, we are planning to use the existing infrastructure that's there. So going, for like firemen going into the parking lot for the fire station or whatever business, they're planning on using the existing infrastructure that's in place.
So we may widen that entrance that's there already, but
Yeah.
we're not gonna add a new one.
Right.
Gotcha.
Just do some
And
improvements.
then everything's gonna be exited on Health Unit Street.
And I think the purpose was to create greater efficiency,
Right.
not only for this new facility, but also our facility.
Yeah.
So that way, we can fulfill public purpose in the sense of, we're doing this to better the entire community, and enlarge that area and the capacity for that area individually.
And Eric, I know you mentioned, and this may be small, but a small question, and probably have a great answer, and you mentioned it, but I see, and you guys are taking out the driveway going to existing parking lot, right?
Correct.
So I know you mentioned earlier about moving that further down.
Correct. Further down, whatever we agree upon is the best location for that parking lot within the school board, and put that driveway back to that main drive coming out of the high school that is currently
Right,
connected
and
to.
that'd be all things we gonna take on as our
Gotcha.
obligation.
I just want to make sure that when we get, if we get to that point, that I have Mr. Earl Kern here. He's somebody that we contract out with as our consultant. I just want to make sure he's part of that conversation, in Leo as well, just on the school board's behalf if we get to that point. And then I know this is another small thing, but those oak trees are a big deal on that side at that school, right? They had a big planting not too long ago. And so I know we're gonna be taking, looks like at least 2 of them out with this project if we move forward. We just need to talk about relocation of those things because I think they're dedicated by year class, so I just want to make sure
Absolutely.
that we take care of that as well if we do move forward and try to find a proper location for those. I think it's 2, if I'm looking at it
Correct.
right. Yeah.
It's 2.
And I'm not sure what years those are, but we'll try to get them, if we do move forward,
Yeah.
we'll try to get them replanted before they even know. No.
We on the other side.
Don't touch the third one, that's ours. Put a bigger one.
But I know that's a big deal, right?
Yeah, absolutely it
It's
is.
a big deal. Yes, sir. Yeah, come on. Yes, sir.
I'm Mike Giat, I'm the district chief on the West Bay. Been in 30 years in the fire service, second generation. Been around Vassar for a long time, and it's no secret that we're losing volunteers. With that being said, I'll do a lot, I love to do a lot with the school. So I'll see this as another benefit to the school board on us being on that property of possibly doing education-wise to those kids and offering some career choices to those guys, especially if that's going to be coming. So not just the benefit to the community as far as having the station, but also with the young guys and girls that are there. I think they got some interest in this. We went to the career day and it looks like a lot of them were very interested. And you're already doing a great job with EMR classes through the CTC. We could get them firefighter 1, firefighter 2 trained before they graduate. And that could be a career choice, not only for lifetime, but to give them the education they need to get into some of these other better jobs and be trained in some fields that could help them and the community. So I just wanted to stress that point real quick. Thank you.
Thank you. Agree, building or no building?
That's right. I guess at this time, I just want to make sure if any other board members have any questions, that you have the opportunity to ask those questions. And then I'll turn it over to Mike just to kind of wrap up our end of it. And then if y'all have anything left, we'll go from there.
I don't have a question, I have a comment. I appreciate the 30 years you have been in them. And all the volunteers of the whole parish. Because I know what their firemen responsibilities are, and it's all volunteer. God bless you.
Any other board members? Mr. Kern, I know you, I don't want to put you on the spot, but as our representation, do you have any questions that you feel are appropriate at this time, or are you good to go?
I mean, we never could get all the homes at the time. Definitely was interested in the civil plan. You know, because drainage is going to be a big factor.
Yes.
As you guys all know, we have drainage problems all over. And so, I know we're taking up some green space right there, which helps at the same time. I just want to make sure that I can look at that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I don't think that's going to be an issue. We can make sure we look at the civil plans. We do hold water there a little already on that in that parking area. So if we can alleviate some of that as we do this project, that would be good.
Absolutely.
Any questions before I jump in? The overall aspect of this, and I've been very candid with the parish in terms of there's clearly a public purpose for this request, right? I think it helps the parish, I think it helps the community, I think it helps the school board. What do I envision in terms of the avenue of how we make it all happen? A simple cooperative endeavor agreement. Now, I'm going to have to lean on you all in terms of determining what aspects of those obligations are going to be put on the parish versus on the school board and the like the parish president said, a lot of the financial part of it is going to go on them. What I would like to see happen is that obviously we have a seat at the table with Mr. Kern to issue, have questions about drainage, capacity for parking, any congestion that we have during football games on Friday afternoons. All of these things that we want to kind of better our part of that facility, we do it all at one time while we're working with them to get this up and running. But all in all, I think this is a great opportunity for the parish overall, especially the West Bank, and I will make it happen. It's just we're going to have to make some decisions in terms of what that actually looks like moving forward. The part of the survey has already been handled. We do need to talk about the right-of-way or the easement, which I think is not a problem for me whatsoever. There would be a conversation overall in terms of the value of the property. I think the way that we can look at that, depending on how everybody's feeling, is we're getting an equal exchange of return depending on what they're offering for the overall facility and the refurbishment of our particular area of the campus. So if there are certain things that we need done, which again we'll lean on Mr. Earl to give us advice on that, hey look, while they're doing it we want this, that, or the other, that might be part of the overall package. But I think all in all, this is something that we can get done fairly easily as long as everybody's on board with moving in that direction.
And I think by having this meeting today, it gives us some time,
Correct.
not a whole lot of time, but it gives us some time to be able to get together prior to the 13th of the regular scheduled board meeting in May. That way we can give them a direction, whether up or yay or nay. That way they can move forward with any direction, because I know they need to move forward and get this thing done.
And Marty, the question that you asked as far as time frame, we asked the parish president at this first meeting. He said yesterday he wanted it done. So I get it. They really want to get moving on.
I mean,
this.
literally, it's been 3 years we've been working.
It's a priority, and we get that, and that's why we tried to be as quick as possible with just getting this before you all, so we could kind of put our heads together and say, okay, this is our proposal, or at least what we want to see moving forward, and get with them as quick as it can. Because like I said, they've been very patient, and we want to help them just like they're trying to help us.
And thank you, and I appreciate again each one of you's time to consider having this special meeting to consider our proposal. You know, we all custodians of the tax dollars, you know, and it's my opinion that we can partner and work together and spend it wisely, and this is, in my opinion, one of the best moves that we can make to service our residents. So again, thank you all for your consideration.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
B, ratification of Title VI compliance certification, Kelly Cook.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Back on April 14th, you all received a memo regarding the requirement that school districts sign a Title VI certification and state requirements. This was a directive issued by the U.S. Department of Education. The deadline to sign the document and submit it was April 21st, 2025. So our superintendent did sign and we did submit it, and we're just bringing this matter to you for ratification.
Moved by Raymond Rowe, second by Angela Washington. All in favor?
Aye.
C, consideration of any and all amendments to St. James Parish School Board Policy EDDB, Walkers and Riders, Kelly Cook. This agenda item has been added for publication at 11:10 a.m. on Wednesday, April 30th, 2025, in accordance with LARS 4219. Further, any motion proposed for approval in relation to the same shall also include ratification of this supplemental agenda item.
And just so everybody's aware on that before we jump in, the reason why we stated that is this was added at a later time because we realized this became an issue that we wanted to discuss today. So any motion that is proposed, we're just going to ratify the addition to the agenda along with the particular motion.
And Ms. Amy Lesh will take care of this.
Yep, you got it.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you all know, in April, we came before you to make some changes to our walkers and riders policy, which we did. And so what we are asking now is that, well, our current policy right now states that if students are in grades pre-K through 3, we would allow them to get off of the bus in the afternoon, either with a parent or an adult. That's what our current policy states. However, since this policy was approved, we have received a good bit of questions from our parents in regards to, well, I have an older child, an older sibling in high school who assists watching my younger child until I get home from work. So, we listen and feel that that is something that we should consider. So what we are proposing is that if it's not going to be a parent or an adult present to receive the students, the parents or guardians could opt out of our current policy by signing what we entitled a transportation waiver form. So the process would be for them to receive this form, complete the form, and submit it to Student Services. I would approve it and then in turn put it in First Student's hands to communicate it to the bus drivers. Once First Student does that communication, they get it to the school, and then the school notifies the parent that, okay, all the processes have been approved, and then now, you are opting out of a parent or adult being there. Your 7th through 12th grader must be visibly present to receive them off of the bus, but yes, that can happen. So basically, that's what we've been working on pretty much all day today, and I do think that the parents would appreciate us ratifying what we've already put in place. Anybody has any questions, comments?
With this goes through tonight, if we get everything done, and appreciate the work when you guys get this done.
Right.
Sometimes it's not the preferable way to get things done. I get it, but obviously we needed to take another look at it. I totally agree. How soon would we be able to turn this on?
Okay, so I have already spoken to the pre-K through 3rd grade schools, which we have Vacherie, Paulina, SLA, and Cypress Grove. They're prepared to start it as soon as it's ratified. We've worked out a plan on how our students would be actually identified to assist the bus drivers, because that's going to be the communication piece right there. Right, so if Mr. Kimball could hold up that tag, it's a wired tag that we would hook to the student's school bag, and I have my secretary, Miss Julie. She has already made what's going to go in that little card. It's going to be a bright yellow card with a school bus on it with a check mark in the middle of it, and they're going to know that means that I can release this child to a high school, or that all of this has been approved through all the processes that we have put in place.
If they don't have this tag,
They
not
cannot get off
And
the
we're gonna
bus.
communicate that to the parents, that they
Yes.
have to have that tag.
So
That is correct.
It still becomes the bus driver's responsibility to see who has a tag and who doesn't.
Correct. And once that form goes through the flow and gets to the school, the principal or assistant principal is responsible for handing that approved form to the bus driver the first day that that child is being able to get dropped off. So that we're covering that communication in two different ways, through first student's office to communicate it to the bus driver, but the school is also going to communicate it to the bus driver as the child is getting on the bus for that first time.
And if you, I shared with you this at some point today, I can't remember the exact time or place, but the communication plan. And so if you go through that communication plan, it really details out the steps and the processes that we're going to take as a school system, and with not Miss Ashley, I keep calling her Miss Ashley, Miss Sarah. Miss Sarah is going to take as far as on her side, and then communicating that through our J-call system, the process, and then also the school's role and responsibilities with that. I do want to correct a few things that I know was said possibly out there in the community that I wish people would call me and we could talk and get the right story. Some things, you know, said that we didn't meet and made this was definitely at a meeting. It was at a policy committee meeting. Then it was brought to the full board for approval. There's some misinformation out there that we just did this without anybody knowing. That's not accurate. And we communicated it to all parents by J-call, and schools communicated through school status. So the information some people end up putting out there is false. And we all know the power of social media and the falsehoods that live in it. I've already met with some parents this month regarding the proper use of Facebook. Hopefully they heed my call. Anyway, I think we have a strong plan. I appreciate my staff putting this plan together, and I hope the community appreciates what we've done to satisfy some of that. And look, I agree. You know, and I'm cognizant of people working, but they understand safety comes first.
Right.
And sometimes safety, and I tell my staff this, safety is an inconvenience sometimes. It is. And I'd much rather be safe than sorry. And so sometimes but I do understand the need to relook at things and to come up with another plan of action. And I'm not opposed to doing that. So that's where, any questions, any other questions? Yes.
Well, before I ask a question, I agree 100%. And I could comment, just commend the staff for doing it so quickly. I understand, and I agree with it. I have one question for our lawyer. Okay. The 7th, 8th, or 8th grader meets the 3rd grader, and something happens. They signed it, but are we still liable?
And look, the waiver is a confirmation that they understand that this could put your child in harm's way, okay, by not adhering to the policy. Is anything, and this is, again, although I'm an attorney, I have to tell you, there is never 110% certainty that I'm going to be able to release you from any and all liability. Okay? What this does is just put it out there that we're acting in good faith, that they understand the risks, and that they acknowledge that there could be harms of, safety issues and concerns that we tried to make them aware of prior than making their decision. That's really the best that we can do in this particular circumstance.
Everybody heard?
I have one question. I guess, so the bus drivers are gonna bring them back to school. Are there people still at school after the bus driver finishes their route and brings them to the school?
So each school is different. So like, for example, Paulina Elementary has an after-school care. So they have their own processes and procedures in place. So when they're brought back to school, they know to bring the child to the aftercare personnel, and then they make the phone calls from there. We work with Miss Melissa. They'll the bus drivers or one of the ladies in the office would call Miss Melissa. Miss Melissa calls the principal, and then the principal either says, oh, look, great, I'm still at school, or, oh, I'm headed back to school, or, look, my assistant principal's still there. So they're never dropped off unless an adult is there. Now, we have had bus drivers, when there was not an adult there at the time, they would wait with the children. They would never, ever drop them off by themselves. So, yeah.
And let me stress this. Part of this communication that we will have with principals will be they need to be on their campus if we need to bring a child back. That's just what it's going to have to be.
Right.
And or an assistant principal. And so we're going to relay that again and make sure that that's happening.
It comes down to a question of how, do we have something in place, or how long we wait with a child before somebody shows up? Like, if you bring the child back to school, drop them off, and the parent just decides, okay, I'm gonna finish work, I'm not coming till.
Yeah, we've had some instances where maybe they wouldn't say that, maybe we just couldn't get in a hold of the parent. We would call our deputies, and they would go to the home and knock on the door and, see if somebody's there, and then the parent would meet them at school. But like Ms. Kelly just said, at some point in time, we sometimes have to call DCFS and say, look, nobody's here to retrieve this child from school. It's been a whole hour, or
Right.
things of that nature.
Ms. Melissa, you want to come?
This is something that was a big concern to us. So I'm not on it this time, but I just want to share, because a lot of times, y'all know we have long routes. Like, we have buses with different programs. Kids were on a bus a long time. So a lot of times it's maybe like close to 5 o'clock. I think it was, day before yesterday? Every time I got out my seat to try to leave, and we received a phone call, kids were being brought back. So unfortunately, no one's at the school at that time except for sometimes Paulina. So what we have to do, I would go into J Campus and try to reach the parents, and majority of the time they're at work. It's like, but I can't leave work. So I just want to say, a lot of our bus drivers has actually stayed at the school until an adult would actually come there. We've only had to call the sheriff department, I think, once, and the little kids were terrified.
Oh,
So we do have some bus drivers who actually, they would stay there after 5, sometimes close to 6, waiting for parents.
that's,
And I'm hoping that this will solve
Right.
that, and we can have someone at their house who is in high school that can get them off the bus. So
No.
hopefully that.
And we did have something that came up too, like now that we have that, you're always gonna have a little something that happens, like the kids 5 and 7. Of course, they have an adult there, getting them off the bus, but the bus driver witnesses that the kids are still going in the home by themselves. And what we were told was, once, we're just responsible for that adult getting them off the bus. Now, we did do a report, that the children we are aware, since we're mandated reporters, that they are going in the home alone. But again, they are following policy as far as having an adult to get them off of the bus.
So the neighbors getting them off, the neighbors going back
Yes.
to her house,
And
and
the-
allowing the kids to go in their house. So, we have individual situations like that all the time.
And Mike, you can probably elaborate on this, but as far as I know, in Louisiana, there's no set law in regards to age of being home alone. And so that makes it that much
We're
difficult.
doing our best to ensure the safety of the children while they're under our care. That's what we're doing. To say that there's a rule or a regulation, we're always called to task on things that sometimes we're not responsible for, but we go above and beyond anyway. So that's really all this is, guys. I don't want you to overthink it. I know a lot has come out on social media, but you're doing the best that you can under the circumstances that you're provided.
Thank y'all.
So I guess we're asking for ratification from you guys tonight.
I need a motion. So moved. Sue Byers, second by Marty Potion. All in favor?
So the motion, Kelly, should include the amendment to the policy and the ratification of the addition to the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess I got one more question.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm just thinking, so how much time are we going to give parents? And look, I didn't get to read everything today because I was in
Yeah.
school, but how long are we giving parents to return this? Like tomorrow? Are
Like
their kids going to be
can
brought
come
back to
tomorrow.
school?
Well, what sparks the notification of a parent to let them know that it's gonna start on this particular day,
Okay,
these wonderful ladies who work in our office, they can tell us, okay, look, this is the date it's gonna start, and normally it's that afternoon or the next afternoon. But the school will call the parent and say, hey, look, the form is approved. Your child this afternoon can get off the bus with an older sibling.
okay.
And
Or,
they will-
look, it won't start till tomorrow.
And they will have a tag
That's right.
on their school bag, so they will know what students have been approved. If they do not have this tag, and there's no one there, they need
Return to school.
they need
Back
to
to
go to
school,
school.
right.
And that's pre-K to third grade.
Pre-K through third. And then really the tag to assist with not only the regular bus drivers, if they would have a substitute driver on there.
So the times in which they have to, say they bring the kids back, the buses bring the kids back to the school, are we giving them a specific time they have to pick up the kid? You know, I mean, I know they may be working, they can't come and they have to send someone else, but to me, if we, I'm saying, if we don't put a time that they have to pick up the kids, or just something that's plain as they, that they have to be there, we'll be all day waiting, you know, and really, we don't wanna call somebody on their kids, even though, because we don't know what their reasonings may be.
Right.
So, I mean, if we put that out there, that communication where, hey, this is the time, then they would know, you know.
It's hard to like put a particular, and Ms. Melissa, you chime in too, it's hard to put a particular time because some routes take longer than others, and it depends on what school, and so when I call, when I'm showing, when Ms. Melissa calls, we'll say, look, the bus is headed back to school with your child, someone needs to pick that child up immediately. And that's what we communicate to parents. And, you know, like most of the time they do, they send somebody, they go, they send a relative to pick up, the principals stay there for a little while. You could tell when the principals get frustrated because then they start calling us saying, hey, look, nobody's picked up this kid yet, you know? But, you got a question?
No, that's my only comment, because when the bus drivers bring it to school, well, we said, well, Chris said we'll communicate to our principals, assistant principals, to have someone to hear from the last bus, you know, if someone comes back, or he's having 2 minutes away, get back to the school.
Yeah.
So it seems to me like we will have to possibly, I don't want to say compensate, but do something for that principal, assistant principal who's there at that time. But I do agree with Angela and say, hey, we can't have them all night, so hopefully those parents will call an aunt, uncle, or niece, or nephew, somebody to come get their child, so our district personnel don't be there that long.
Right. Agree. Okay, any other questions?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Ann. Melissa.
3, closing the meeting, adjournment. Motion by Raymond Crew. Second by Marty Boucher. All in favor?
Aye.